Good evening to the participants of the SLW-722. Karibu sana in Swahili. Welcome to my virtual class of the International Human Rights Law. And today is the second session. Yes, participants, could you able to see my screen and could you hear me? If it is so, please read what I posted on the screen. James Masave, unmute and speak. What I posted on the screen. Unmute, at least say that I am hearing you or you are hearing me.
I hear you, sir.
Read what I posted on the screen.
Okay, there is a chart of human rights, education, assembly, association, movement, religion, speech, information, press, and thoughts.
These are all the components of the human rights. Is it or not?
Yes.
So,
yes.
In my last class, I was dealing about the Economic and Social Council. It is one of the organ of the Tanzania. Is it?
Yes, sir.
It is the organ of the Tanzania Economic and Social Council.
Yes.
Wrong. It is the organ of the UNO. In the UNO, there are 6 organs are there because you are not present in my last class. And now join the Rutuk, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Pantelio Rutambuka.
Yes, Prof. Yes, Prof.
Economic and Social Council is the organ of
Economic and Social Council
is the organ
of the UN.
Very good, because I appreciate. Otherwise, you will also say Tanzania. Of course, because our learned friend, because he did not present yesterday, I told him, is it a organ of Tanzania? He said, yes. Okay, now it is a UNO, and here I put the mark. What is this mark? Can you tell me, anyone? This mark.
Asterisk.
Don't say Nyota. It is asterisk, it's not a star. Okay, now let us come to the point. Trustship Council. This is also one of the organ of the UNO. So the Trustship Council was established in 1945 by the UN Charter. Under the chapter, what is this Roman capital? Chapter
13.
Chapter 13, I appreciate. To provide the international supervision for the 11 trust territories and had been placed under the administration of the 7 member states. Of course, 7 member states were there at the time, Trustship Council, because total members are, I believe, 50 or 56 at the time in the beginning, and ensure that adequate steps were taken to provide the territory of the self-government and independence. So this Trustship Council also does certain respect regarding the member state is concerned. By 1994, all trust territories had attained the self-government or independence. The Trustship Council suspended operation of the 1st November 1994 by a resolution adopted in the 25 May 1994. The Council amended its rules of the procedure to drop the obligation to meet actually and agreed to meet as an occasion required by its decision and the decision of the President. And the Trustship Council is suspended for a time being, and on the advice of it, it will call the meeting, and amended rules of it annually agreed to meet the occasion required by its decision and the decision of its President at the request of the majority of the members or the General Assembly or the Security Council. So it will sit occasionally on the recommendation of the President, or it is the recommendation of the General Assembly or the Security Council. The reason is its role is now a bit limited because in 1994, 25th, the resolution adopted which is suspended the operation of the Trusteeship Council. But it is also one of the organ and where when the direction will be given with the President or the General Assembly or the Security Council, and it will take into account and does the thing which is there in the agenda. So the trustee role is a bit less. Now let us come to the next organ is called International Court of Justice, and which is not in the New York, but it is in
The
it is
Hague. In The Hague.
The Hague. The Hague is where the Hague is.
In the Netherlands.
It is Netherlands. It is only one organ which is outside the New York. And this International Court of Justice is the principal judicial organ of the United Nations. Its seat is at the Peace Palace in The Hague, which is in the Netherlands. It is only one of the 6 principal organs of the United Nations not located in the New York. That is the United States of America. And the court's role is to settle in accordance with the international laws, legal disputes, submitted it by states, and give the advisory opinions on legal questions and refer to it by authorized by the United Nations organs and specialized agencies, or a state can also represent over there. And I will post you one video clip to you, and where one of the Indian but staying in Pakistan, and he does against the Pakistan government, and the Pakistan government, the apex court, declared him waging war against the state. What is the punishment? Waging war against the state. Is it life imprisonment or hanged to death? It is hanged to death in some places, even in Tanzania also. So the hanged to death is given to him, and moreover, because he is having the Indian passport at the time, but staying there in Pakistan, and Indian government has represented in the International Court of Justice, and one of a leading person has argued that case, and you can hear it is there in the YouTube also. I will also post to you. And any representation by the state can be argued in the International Court of Justice if any other state has violated some of the fundamental rights or human rights. And next comes the Secretariat. And the Secretariat comprises the Secretary General and 10 of thousands of the international UN staff members, and who carry out the day-to-day work in the UN as mandated by the General Assembly and organization other principal bodies. The Secretary General in Chief Administrative Officer of the organization appointed by the General Assembly on the recommendation of the Security Council for a 5 years renewable term. The Secretary General is also a symbol of the organization's ideals and an advocate for all the world's people, especially the poor and vulnerable. And he is a powerful Secretary General of the UN, is a very powerful person. And if he takes the decision, but generally the decision will be supported by the rich countries, number one, or permanent members of the Security Council. And we discussed in the first class who are the members of the permanent member of the Security Council. We said there is no German. Who are they?
USA.
Good.
USC. UK,
Yes.
France,
Yes.
China,
Yes. One more or
eh,
Imisha?
y- 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 I can remember those.
Yes, yes. So only the 5 members Security Council would be there, and they will take their voices more, and they do have the veto power also. They negative it also. So UN staff members are recruited internationally and locally and work in a duty station and on peacekeeping mission all around the world. But serving the cause of peace in a violent world is a dangerous occupation. And since the founding of the United Nations, hundreds of the brave men and women have given their lives in its services. Because when the UN peacekeeping force will be sent to curb the terrorism in any other country, at that time also they will become a target also. So when the UN sent the peacekeeping force to the Afghanistan, and many of the Security Council, armies, they died. But naturally, in internal affairs, no interference would be there for the UNO. For instance, you take, there is always a conflict between the India and Pakistan regarding the border, Kashmir issue. But till today, UNO did not interfere it because Pakistan says we will resolve our issues, and the India also says we resolve our internal disputes. And if these two people will given the mandate to somebody else, and he will try to dominate it also, or he may favor at one nation and who is favorable to the UNO. So this thing will also happen. And international law, especially whether the UNO, because I saw one of a dynamic lady, Sarah, his name is, and he says, what he says, no, international law is a weak law. And international organizations are eyewash because the UNO to whom they support, they will support. And they to whom they don't want to interfere, they don't interfere. Because they also see what way it will be benefit to them, are politically also motivated. When Russia is bombarding Ukraine, why the UNO will not interfere in that matter? After everything is over, now the matter has settled. Of course, later part it is made, but the peacekeeping force, the UNO, because Russia also one of the member and moreover a permanent member. When you say permanent member, naturally their say is more, and Ukraine is not neither a permanent member nor a temporary member, but merely a member in the 193 countries. And after some times later, of course, they came into the picture. See, the police will appear at the scene when all things will be cooled down. Is it clear?
Sir,
The police should have to come on the spot and try to stop the violence. But it will come a later part when everything is closed, or sabotage is made, or killed, or robbed, or taken away the property. So even that, what I want to say is there. It is there, no doubt. It is have the sanctions. You know, having the sanctions, and they will make the sanctions also. At that instance, the members will not go against the UNO charters or UNO norms. So, in that way, it can be done. And if you happen to see the other aspect of it, let me check whether we read it or not. This one. I think, yeah, we covered it, this thing. And let me go for the other aspect of it. How UNO take part in UNO, MBA, yeah, UNO role of the, yeah. So, the role and purpose of the United Nations. And if you happen to see, the United Nations was the second experiment in the 20th century with worldwide multilateral organization. The first one is the League of Nations. Both grew out of the devastation of the war in Europe, the first World War later, and the Second World War later, the UNO has made. The League of Nations was there largely inspired by the President Woodrow Wilson of the United States, sought to create the permanent framework of the collective security through a formal organization that will settle the disputes and limit armaments. The League of Nations earlier there and the United Nations represent not a completely a new concept of the international relations. Even a League of Nations also having the same motive, international relation, but it is failed over there. Again, after the Second World War, the United Nations made the declaration, that is a Human Rights Declaration, and they formed in the 1946 the declaration, and 45 they formed it, 1946 it has come. But the continuation of the ideas underpinned the concept of the Europe in the 19th century. Then major states of the Europe saw the means to ensure the stability of the peace agreement of the 1815 they made earlier. No permanent structure was established in the 19th century, but an agreement was made to confer regularly to find the solution to mutual problems and preserve the status quo. Why this international organization do? The international organizations will see that the world should be run peacefully. That is their motto. Without encroaching on somebody's land and respecting the sovereignty, and a rich country will not dominate the poor country. Everybody is a sovereign state, and at that instance, even they should not exploit also. So it will come into the picture, and the human rights violation should not also be there, and the UNO take care of it. Of course, our League of Nations failed over there, and in its place, the UN has established. And if you say the League of Nations and the United Nations, both organizations, the creation of the specialized agency also recognize that peace and security are dependent on the economic and social condition of the people. Why the threat of the security would be there? What is the reason? Tell me. What is the reason a state security in the trouble? A state security will be also trouble because of the internal conflicts, cold wars, government want to have the high-handedness, and they want to make the superior power over the people, and the people will revolt. If they could not, the government will not do the economic development activities. If they eat all the people's revenue in the form of construction, in the form of buildings, in the form of the policies, and nothing has come out, the poor man, he will revolt it. Is it or not?
Yes.
Now, UN summarized the role in the following terms. What would be the role? Number one, a square bullet to maintain the international peace and security. The purpose of the UNO. And the second square bullet to develop the friendly relations among the nations based on the respect for the principle of equal rights and self-determination of the people. If a nation is small, the other nation could not dominate it, because every human being is respected, irrespective of the color, caste, creed, blood, language, and they brought up. And self-determination of the people. Each individual will be having their own right, and his right should not be violated. And I don't know where you know Djibouti, a small country, Djibouti, very near to the Eritrea. But if a small country would be there, could other country will dominate over it? Answer is no. It is also a sovereign country, having its own internal affairs and own currency and own mechanism of running the government. And third square bullet is to cooperate in solving the international economic and social and cultural and humanitarian problem. The economic problem, the social problem, the cultural problem, and the humanitarian problems in promoting respect for the human rights and fundamental freedoms. Every person having the fundamental rights. And especially when matter comes to the human rights, and if you have studied in the public international law, these rights are inalienable. These rights are, whose rights? Human rights are inalienable. It cannot be disposed away, it cannot be taken away. Even the human rights cannot be waived. So that is the idea behind it. So fourth square bullet is to be a center for harmonizing the action of the nations in attaining these common ends. Harmonization is a very important factor, because each country having their own principles, culture, civilization, customs, usages, and such customs should be harmonized and put it in the charter as one of the rules and regulation in the charter. So, customs also plays a role in the human rights, in the charters, in the declarations, and that's why we can harmonize them. And I will give one example of how to harmonize it. Let me test your IQ also. A son, when he is not married, he used to come late in the night, either going to the clubs or spending with the pubs or friend circle or gossiping and coming late to the house. And the son got married. The son got married. Now, father says to the son, son, you are having your wife. The wife may be waiting for you. So better you come before 9 o'clock. Before 9 o'clock. And the wife gives the direction to the husband. Not 9 o'clock is too late. You come by 8:30. You come by 8:30.
8:30.
Yes. In the night, evening. Now, the son feel it. If he comes late after 9, even father also felt unhappy. Even wife also felt unhappy. Is it clear?
Yes.
If we harmonize them, which time is the best to come? Where both wife and father will feel happy?
8:45.
See, wife say 8:30 and father say 9 o'clock. If you say 8:45, but 15 minutes late, Because your wife say 8:30.
It's better half an hour before.
So
the paid
to
time.
harmonize them, if he comes 8:15 before 8:30, both are happy. Am I right?
Yes.
If he comes 8:15 or 8:25 also, if he comes by 8:25, even wife also happy because wife condition is 8:30, and father also happy because father say 9 o'clock. And thus way you can harmonize them in the charters, culture, usage, customs, and other factors. But we cannot justify all of them. Which is the more justiciable and accepted by the member states? Yes, it can be done. So, that is the role that they will make it out. Who? UNO. And the principles are, it is based on the sovereign equality for all its members. Because whenever the charters are made, our signatories are there, and if they want to domesticate the international instruments, they also see the sovereignty of the country will not be at stake. So it is based on the sovereign equality of all its members. Like 193 members are there in UNO now, then all sovereignty will not be disturbed. And next square bullet, all members are to fulfill in good faith their charter obligations. Whatever the charter obligation is there, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the charter is there, and the charter obligations in good faith, all the members should have to fulfill it. Then next bullet is, square bullet is third, they are to settle their international disputes by peaceful means and without endangering the international peace and security and justice. So you should not make any endanger situations and where the international peace and security will be disturbed. And justice, way that you have to do it. If any problem would be there from any other country, where the other country is violating the human rights on the people of the another country, or torturing them, or making them slave, at that instance, yes, you can approach to the UNO and make an application stating that these are the activities are going on to our subjects. The matter will be raised over there, and the representatives, they will vote it. Yes, you have to do certain thing to see that such act should be stopped. And they will warn the other country which is dominating it. And if they could not listen, at that instance, the Security Council will send the UN peacekeeping force to see that the toleration, that the untoward incidents or the encroachment or terrorism should be stopped over there. So that way also the UN security will come into the picture. If the UN security is not there, then every nation who are the strong enough try to dominate a weak nation. And hence, people will be protected by the UNO. So, next square bullet is, they are to refrain from, means stop from the threat or use the forces and against any other state. You are not supposed to use the force. And if you are very powerful, having the nuclear weapons, you cannot threat the other nations. Let the nuclear power should be used for the peacekeeping. The nuclear fusion should be used for generating the electricity and useful activities. But you should not try to dominate the other nation and try to suppress them. And the next bullet is, last but one is, they are to give the United Nations every assistance in any action it takes in accordance with the charter. So, every state should have to assist in any action it takes in accordance with the charter, and shall not assist states against which the United Nations is taking preventive or enforcement action. And the other state, they should not encourage that state which is dominating it. They should have to encourage or give the support to the NO and see that the dominating state activities should be curbed out. And that's the reason the UNO act as a monitor to see that a strong state, a powerful state would not try to exploit a weak state by any means. And the last one is square bullet is, anyone can unmute and read the last bullet, and which I am highlighting it here. This one. Is it visible?
Nothing in the charter is to authorize the United Nations to intervene in the matters which are essentially within the domestic jurisdiction of any state.
Yes. Any internal matters, the UNO should not take into account. Some nations wants that let their nation will run according to the Islamic rules. And some of them definitely revolt it. And at that instance, it is an internal matter. The UNO should not interfere in it. Unless until, if any representation comes from other nation to see that this nation making such a thing, then only they can interfere. Suo motu, they should not interfere it. For instance, your neighbor, wife and husband beating each other. What they are doing? Wife and husband beating each other. Because both of them, they are one down karate masters. One is taekwondo style, another is Budokan style. But each one they are trying to make their martial arts and beating themselves. At that instance, could you go and interfere in their affairs?
No.
Answer is no. Because in the morning they fight, in the evening, in the night they unite. Are you following me?
Yes.
It is a life. Don't think that there is no quarrel between highly educated man and highly educated woman. Quarrels are very common, but nature of quarrels are different. I repeat, quarrels are common, but the nature of quarrels are different. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes. So, never think that in a society where you are living, why you take the society? You take your parents and mother, same father, mother born children's. Do you think that all will be alike? Suppose the father is an officer, mother also an officer, gazetted officer, and both are professionals. Sometimes the sons become a professional or he'll become a vagabond. Do you think that everybody will be educated there in the family? Answer is no. It depends upon the attitude of a person and the brought up of a person. And the people will become in that way. But not necessarily, there is no hard and fast rule would be there. A doctor's son should be a doctor. A engineer's son should be an engineer. A professor's son would be also a professor. Answer is no. It is a taste of a person and who wants to become. And at that instance, you should not interfere in their taste. Suppose if he wants to do say about legal profession, and don't insist him to do the medicine. Are you following me?
Yes, Prof.
So, let the liberty would be given. But if the liberty is crossing the limits, at that time you can interfere. So, the reality is, in the domestic matters, you should not interfere. Especially when wife and husband quarreling, you are not supposed to go. unless somebody will come asking for the rescue. Number two, when you are cutting the firewood, you are not supposed to go near it. I repeat, when you are cutting the firewood, breaking the firewood, chopping the firewood, somebody will not supposed to go and see, because one of the piece may try to hit you also. Is it?
Yes.
So we should not interfere in the matter. Then next comes the reality is concerned. This idealistic expression of the aim of the purpose of the UN needs to be set against and what has been possible given the limits placed on the organization by the most powerful states in it. They will keep the limits and they will keep the boundaries. If a man doesn't have the boundaries, if a man doesn't have the limits, the growth is zero. If you limit yourself, the growth will be seen. The principles of the organization make it clear that if the UN is to work, the individual members must fulfill the obligation they undertake. Suppose if you want your entire street should be clean, free from garbage, free from any piece of paper or waste. Suppose everyone cleans their own house in front of the house, or at that instance, the whole street will be clean. So everyone, like the people say, charity begins from the home. Repeat.
Charity begins from the home.
So the cleanliness should be in your house and surrounding areas. Then the entire street will be the clean. If everybody thinks so. But do you think that people will do such a thing? They take the bottle of drinking water, after drinking, he will throw on the road only. But there are dustbins are there, a particular places, there you have to throw the empty bottles. So unlike the concept of the Europe, the UN is a permanent structure, but it is nevertheless an extension of the state system. So it is also a system, an organization, and not an alternative to it. It is an organization of equal sovereign states. And indeed, all states in the General Assembly have one vote regardless of the size or wealth. Even Djibouti also having one vote. And a big country like India is also one vote. Even China also one vote. But being a China is a permanent member of the Security Council, it has the veto power. And the contribution to the UNO is generally more those who are the permanent member of the Security Council. Are you following me? Each state should have to contribute. Otherwise, who will pay the money to the UNO? Sir, why the UNO should be in the USA? Why the UNO should not be in Tanzania? Give me the answer.
The big power, they have money.
They have money, they spend the money, they give all facilities, they give the buildings, they give the quarters, they give the water free, they give the electricity free. Are you following me?
Yes, Prof.
That is the reason. And you tell me, why other countries spend on the Tanzania? Tell me. Money on Tanzania. Either for the investment or for the foundation.
Tubariki